Arabia is in discussions with China to price some of its oil sales in yuan.
A group of emerging economies represents half the world's population and more than a quarter of global GDP. BRICS largely wants to reduce global reliance on the US dollar.
Russia hosted leaders from 36 countries in the city of Kazan, and Putin took this opportunity to make an appeal.
The dollar was used as a weapon. It is true, and we see that. I think it is a great mistake by those who do it.
The US dollar has been the king of global money for nearly 80 years. It decides who trades, who grows, and sometimes who collapses. But something is shifting. Quietly, slowly, and far away from the headlines, countries around the world are making deals without the dollar. Oil is being sold in new currencies. Alliances are forming that bypass Western systems, and the financial power shift decades in the making is finally showing its face. This is the story of the Great De-Dollarization and how the world is preparing for a future where the dollar is no longer the center of everything. To understand what's changing, we need to understand what made the dollar so powerful. Since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the global reserve currency. It's the currency that countries trust, save, and use for international trade. Oil is priced in dollars. Most global loans are issued in dollars. Central banks stockpile dollars like treasure, and over 80% of all international transactions touch the US financial system. This dominance gives the United States something extraordinary, the ability to shape global economics with its own decisions. But that level of control comes with consequences and resentments. So why are so many nations trying to escape the dollar's gravity? One major reason is sanctions. When a country falls out of favor with the US, its banks can be cut off from the global system almost instantly. Iran, Russia, and Venezuela all saw their economies suffocate not through war, but through the power of the dollar. Another reason is financial risk. Whenever the US raises interest rates, the shockwaves hit every corner of the world. Developing countries suddenly face higher debt costs, currency drops, and economic instability, even though they had no say in the decision that caused it. And then there's geopolitical independence. China doesn't want its massive economy exposed to US pressure. India wants flexibility, Saudi Arabia wants leverage, and the broader BRICS nations want more influence on the world stage instead of relying on a system where the dollar sits at the center. All of these forces, sanctions, risk, and the desire for independence, are slowly, quietly pushing countries to look for alternatives. Across the world, countries are changing the way they trade. China and Russia now settle most of their trade in yuan and rubles. India buys Russian oil in rupees. Brazil and China made a deal to trade without the dollar at all. And Saudi Arabia, the country that built the petrodollar system, is now selling oil in other currencies. This is the first real crack in a system that has been stable for generations. Before we move on, a quick thank you to today's sponsor, the Alchemist, the smart trading assistant built for people who actually care about strategy, not hype. The Alchemist watches market trends, scans opportunities, and automates trades with data-driven precision. No magic, no guesswork. Just a tool that helps you trade smarter while you stay in control. If you want to upgrade your trading setup, check the link in the description and use the code DEDOLLARIZATION for 10% off. Now, back to the story.
Here's what Mr. Trump wrote on social media. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy.
De-dollarization isn't just about currency. It's about building new financial pathways that don't lead through the US. China is developing CIPS, a payment network that competes with SWIFT. Russia built SPFS as a backup after sanctions. BRICS is expanding, adding Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, and others, and discussing a shared currency for future trade. And dozens of countries are stockpiling gold at the fastest rate in over 50 years. In other words, the world is preparing for a future where the dollar is no longer the single point of failure. Here's the part people misunderstand. De-dollarization does not mean the dollar is collapsing. It means the dollar is slowly losing its monopoly. And the consequences of that shift are enormous. US influence declines, sanctions become weaker, global markets become less predictable. Other currencies, especially the Chinese yuan, gain power, countries form new alliances outside Western control. This isn't a crash, it's a rebalancing of global power. So what does the future look like? Not a world without the dollar, but a world where the dollar shares the stage. Multiple trade blocks, multiple reserve currencies, multiple payment systems, a multipolar financial world, more complex, more competitive, and less controlled by any single nation. The Great De-Dollarization isn't an event, it's a transition, a slow shift in how nations trade, save, and project power. And we're living through the opening chapter. For nearly 8 decades, the US dollar has been the glue holding the global economy together. But no empire and no currency stays at the top forever. While politicians argue and markets fluctuate, countries around the world are quietly building alternatives, new deals, new systems, and new alliances. The old world is fading, the new one is forming, and most people haven't even noticed. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and as always, stay curious.